Go.
Welcome to Tim's Thoughts, where you spend more time sleeping than actually watching. Today we're going to talk about the mysteries of the Aztecs.
Tim.
What, Caden?
Why do you have so many thoughts?
Because I'm always thinking.
The Aztec Empire was located in Mexico, where modern-day Mexico City is. They believed that this site was land of the gods because they saw an eagle eating a snake on top of a cactus, which they took as a sign from the gods. So they ruled from 1300 to 1521 AD. There were over 100,000 people that lived in their capital city, Tenochtitlan. They kept their city very clean, so their society went emperor at the top, then nobles and priests. Under them were merchants and craftsmen, and very last were the peasants and slaves. So they were polytheists, which means they believed in more than one god. They also sacrificed people to please these gods. The best way to die in their society was to be a warrior who died in battle, one of the people who was sacrificed, or a woman who died during childbirth. War was very important to them. Elite warriors in their society wore fur costumes or helmets with feathers on them to symbolize the different animals. The most eaten food in Aztec society was maize, which is also corn. Only upper-class citizens in their society could have a second story on their house or wear cotton. The lower-class citizens were not allowed to do either of these things. In the Aztec society, they played a ball game called Tlachtli. So Aztec life was very harsh for kids, especially when they misbehaved. Some of their punishments would be they'd have to inhale chili smoke from a fire, which would burn their eyes and nose. Education was very important in the Aztec society. The noble children went to school to learn to read and write, and then when they were older, they learned religion and mathematics and astrology. Ordinary kids, or the peasants' kids, learned about religion, music, dance, and history. And then when they were older, they learned how to fight. So they had many accomplishments. So one of them was they had farms in the middle of the lakes. They built artificial islands called chinampas. They also built a huge city and many huge buildings without today's equipment, all made out of stone, in the middle of a lake. They had highly skilled engineers, and they built advanced aqueduct systems that flowed fresh water into their city. So the Aztecs' downfall was led by a man named Hernan Cortez. So the emperor, Moctezuma, thought Cortez was a god when he first came to the land because of his different colored skin tone. He gave him gifts such as gold and other precious metals. So this made Cortez very hungry for the gold and precious metals, so he wanted to take over their city. Cortez had 600 men when he conquered the Aztecs, and the Aztecs had more than 80,000 warriors. Cortez had advantages, though. He had steel weapons, armor, and they had guns. And those weapons were far superior to the Aztecs. The Aztecs used wooden and leather weapons. So one of their biggest downfalls, though, was smallpox. So the Spaniards brought over this disease from them, and they were already immune to it. So it killed off most of the Aztec population. You should study the Aztecs because of their will to conquer and their advanced engineering team. They are the reason our engineers are so advanced because we learned a lot from them, like how to build buildings and many other advanced architectural things. They believed in many gods and did lots of sacrifices for the gods. A lot of our civilizations came from the engineering of the Aztecs and their farming techniques.
Now it's time to answer the open letter. Anyway. Alright, question today. What was the leading cause of the downfall of the Aztecs? Disease brought by the Spaniards caused most of the Aztecs to die, making it easier for the Spaniards to win and take them over. I guess there's a lot more questions. Well, that's going to wrap it up today, folks. See you next time, another episode of Tim's Thoughts. Now it's time to answer the open letter. Today's question is...
This empire was located in Mexico, where modern-day Mexico City is. They believed that this site was land of the gods because they saw an eagle eating a snake on top of a cactus, which they took as a sign from the gods. So they ruled from 1300 to 1521 AD. There were over 100,000 people that lived in their capital city, Tenochtitlan. So they kept this. Oh my gosh! Leave.
Now it's time to answer the open letter. The question for today: what is the lead? Brian. Now it's time to answer the open letter. Now it's time to answer the open letter. Jeez, dude. Alright, the question for today. What was the leading cause of the downfall of the Aztecs? Now let's answer the open letter. Today's question. What was the leading cause of the downfall of the Aztecs? Dang it. Okay, so can we just cut that?